welcome. Okay, so yeah, you guys are kind of good to I don't know, pull up whomever's code it is that wants to whichever repo you guys want to use and continue with where you guys left off.
I think Matt was volunteering for his code.
Um, I think last night I think Chico was still working on it, so I'm not too sure if he's still doing something. Yeah.
Okay. I can show mine. I just pulled it. There's yeah, let's just jam it. You know what? I'll walk it through from the beginning just to kind of do a recall. I think I know what I'm supposed to be doing next, but here we go. Okay. It's Sean.
Yeah.
Okay, shoot. So here's the windows that we were like juggling yesterday, right? So I had my terminal over here. I have the blog API. I also have my other API over here just to kind of uh, show me examples, the exercises. I got um, the GitHub over here and then the HTTP py. So over here, what we did yesterday, so we created the API. We did DB create, then DB migrate, which had none of the information. So the first thing that we did, let's go and do this here. I guess we could go through the migrations, yeah. So the first thing that we did was we created the table. We created two. I know um, Leon had said just create one, but we were figuring when we do the serializations, we could take one out later just to kind of see where we're at, like, so we're going to go ahead and take that out maybe later. So this was the first table that we did. Well, actually, let me take a step back. So I created the API and then sent it to GitHub over here. So we were kind of like tracking all of every time we would push the code up and everything, we would kind of track it to see if it was good to go. Learned a lot yesterday about this on how to add collaborators or whatnot. Let me see, just to see if I remember those actions. See, now I'm like lost again because I know it was somewhere over here, like on the left side, it was already over here, but man, now it's not there. Or settings. There we go. Okay. There was settings and then right here. So like that was the connection yesterday. We were kind of playing around all day yesterday and I don't know this we were looking for collaborators, but it was right here. But anyway. So anyway, we added the table, right? Then of authors, we did two attributes, so we can take out one later when we do the serializations. Then sent it up to GitHub. Over here, did articles. We got the three things. One of them is being an integer, text, and that. We verified with the schema over here. Good to go. Then I believe after that we did the seeds. So the seeds we just did generic stuff over here. We did the author one, author two, very basic stuff. Over here, article one, article two, along with the author ID. So again, sent that one up, and then proceeded to do the, I believe, man, what did we do? Models, I think. Yeah, there we go. We went to the models. Says belong to author for articles because many articles belong to the author, and an author has many articles. Let's see if I can remember here. I'm still trying to memorize where everything is at, but usually if I click through configs, there we go. So we did the configs, then we did the routes. So get over here the authors index, authors create, articles index, articles create, and then the controllers. Let's see. Here we go. The controllers. So again, over here, we have the index, we have the create, we have the save, and we have the index, we have the create, and we have the save. And so that's kind of like where we worked all the way through. Our next step was to go over here and do the validations. What we learned yesterday was there's different kinds of validations. There's the validations where one you put directly into your code. So this is kind of like a validation thing, because if it doesn't go through, it's going to give you this message. There's this kind of validation over here where you explicitly put it into your code. And then the tricky one that was kind of like an indirect one was when you create, let's see, I think it's in the schema. Man, let me fumble around here, database over here. In the schema, yeah, here we go. When you require an article to have these things and it doesn't have it, then it shoots it back. So that's a third kind of validation. So like this is a validation requirement. Then this is another one that we're going to do. And then the third one was the if else. So that's kind of like where we're at right now. I was going to go work on the validations for the author model and then the validations for the article. So Ron, I was going to check. I just pulled the code like maybe about 10 minutes before class or something like that. I didn't know if you worked on anything else. Was it good?
Yeah, wherever we left off, I just pushed it up and that was it.
Cool.
I didn't
I
even
think that was
look
it,
at it
right?
yet.
I
Yeah,
think that was it,
yeah,
right? We did the routes, right? The controller and the routes, that was kind of like where we ended it, right? The routes.
yeah, yeah. The last
Okay,
push, the
shoot. Okay.
controller and routes and the index and create.
Yes. So that's where we're at. I mean, I guess I can go ahead and fumble around trying to make up this first validation over here. So the validation for the author model, I would go over here, the author model. And so again, we have the man as association of the author has many articles. So then to also put in the validates, the validations, I would check I would check over here for the schema. And so the authors is name, age over here. It would only require the name. So then what I would do is over here, in the models, I would go author right here. And this is kind of like where I would fumble around. I would just put validates the name. Oops. And the requirement is that presence is true. So that would be the first validation over there. This is where I would kind of cheat, right? I would kind of look over here in my Star API validates title. So it looks pretty good. It's yellow, blue, 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 yellow, blue, blue, blue. And then this was for the author for the articles. I think, oops, not there. For the articles, I think we have more validations to put in. Let's see. Title, or no, this title. So on article, validate the title and validation would be, or the requirement would be presence has to be true. And so I think that should be good to go there. And then I could test it. You want me to test it out, Ron?
Shoots.
Oops, okay. So then I'll jam it over here. Server. So that's up and running. And go over here. So I kind of ran this earlier. So let's see. Send. So we got the articles here. Send over here. Okay, we got the authors there. I just open up a new one. Go to authors. I put this over here. And I change this to a post since we're going to create. And it's name and age. So you go over here, name, age. So those are the two attributes. And then since over here, the author requires a name, first thing I would do is leave that blank and just put 45 just to try it out. And it should say it doesn't go through. So it says there, name can't be blank. So I'm just going to go ahead and put this through, say author 3. Just make sure it's the same there. Put author 3 and boom, it says it's good to go, 200. And go over here, refresh this. And now we got the author 3. And then I do the same thing with the articles. I copy this back here, and I'm gonna add, so it's gonna be a post, and the articles have title, content, author ID. I'll go title, content, and then author ID. So in over here in the article, it says title has to be there. So I'll leave that blank. You can make it simple, I'll just say here. I'll just make this the same. Content on article 3. So I'll put on author ID, I'll make this 3. I'll leave this blank. It should error out. Yep, it says it's error out, so that worked there. I wanted to try this other one, or excuse me, the article here. Let me see, so this would be article 3. But then I'll take out the author ID because it shouldn't go through because every article is required to have an author attached to it from, I think, the association, right? So there you go. It's good to go. If I do this, then it should relate to everything, or it should go through, and there it goes through. And then we update the articles, and there's article 3. So everything looks good over there. Here we go, exit, then I would do git add, and then git commit, or you know what, let's do this. Git status, so those are the two things. So I say git commit, and then this one we did validations. Validations added to article and author. Jam that, then git status. Let's see if it's in the queue. It's there. So then I go git push. It's pushed up. Hopefully, I go git status. It's there. Then I would just kind of go to the screen over here. Go to the blog API. And then it says there. Now it's been added. So then it would go hand off to Ron, and then Ron would jam. So we did this part right here. We already did this when Ron coded it initially. So then we would next go on, install the sterilizer gem and set it up. Shoot, sorry, man. That was kind of long, but that was like my review.
I like it. That was solid. The one comment I'll make is from what I saw was technically that valid when you were first mentioning the 3 different types of validations, the association validation technically comes from the model. So I mean, it's kind of a mixture. It's a mixture of, yes, you have the foreign key on that table, but then it's also like this belongs to, and then in the author one that has many, this is technically it's kind of like validates author presence true in a sense.
Okay. So the yeah, okay, that makes sense. So the validation within the model, not the table.
Correct. I want to say
Yeah.
it's kind of both in a sense, but yeah, in reality, it's coming from here in the model.
Because if you did the yes, okay, I get it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I understand.
So
Yeah,
that's the one kind of thing I just wanted to clarify. But other than that, everything else looks solid.
cool.
Yeah. Solid. Okay.
Want to try Matt or I don't
Yeah,
know.
you guys all just take turns helping out. And I think it's just good practice. Yeah.
Like
Um,
talking it through, right? Because we have to learn how to communicate it. So I'm just like
it's
make
really
Explain the
helpful.
code, yeah.
It's really helpful to talk it through. I think it's super helpful. It's like and even like Lana, she could speak to this herself when she'll be here tomorrow actually. She comes back tonight. But anyway, she could speak to it of like it's one thing to do it, it's another thing to teach it. If you can teach it, and I'm sure Junior, you're a teacher, I'm sure you know, but like if you can teach it, then you really understand it kind of thing. It just kind of gives you a whole nother level of understanding. So like when you guys are talking through this and like explaining it to, your other peers, it's really, really helpful. And I think it's really good practice. Yeah. But I think whoever created it will need to add Matt as a collaborator. And then Matt can pull it down and then he could do the next one. And then maybe Ron does the next one, Junior, and you just keep going around until you guys finish the whole thing.
shoot. I'll jam that because all right. So we're gonna add Matt as a collaborator. So I go to settings over here in the
Mhm.
blog API. I go to collaborators, and this is where
Crazy. It was literally the first thing on the left side.
yeah, right. Like we looked under every tab, like seriously, and we went even over around here, and it was Leon was like, "Oh yeah, go to settings and go top left." We were like, "What?" Like got some Pokemon in my house or something.
Crazy.
Okay, so over here, we manage to access, and I believe we add people, right? So we add people, and then Matt, this is where I have to input your username or whatnot. It's just assuming Matt, or what would
Oh,
your
I'll type it out.
okay?
Oh, it's supposed to be a one.
Okay, there we go. Matt or Matt one?
Matt Ilagan, so ILAGAN,
And
Oh, and
and
then
then
one.
and then
that's
one.
okay. All right. So this one?
Yes.
All right. So I'm gonna add over here, and then it sends the thing to your email, and then I guess once you click, you're good to go on your email and everything like that. Then you can pull the code. Yeah. So if just let me know like when you send that whatever, like I think you click on the link in your email and it says it's good, and then I'll refresh it and I'll let you see what it looks like on my side.
Oh,
And then
I accepted it.
shoot. So then there, see, so it changed on my screen that you're already collaborator. And then I'll go back to the blog API. I don't know if it does anything over here saying that it was added. No. So then you should be good to pull the code. And I think, oh, what was it? Git clone space this. Yeah, right. It's like git clone space this, and then it clones it on your computer, and then game on, I think, after that. Oh,
Sir?
and then huh?
And I said, yes, sir.
Yeah. So then just make sure DB create and DB migrate. I think, Ron, this is where our databases are starting to get different, right? Because you created some stuff on yours yesterday, right? And then I created mine, and then download this so that your database is going to be different, but you can do the seeds and then everybody at least has 1 and 2 the same.
And every pool will be migrate.
Yeah.
You guys are sounding like top tier real developers, by the way. Just wanted to say that. I feel like I'm at work right now.
We're just a little slow, right? We're like the
Learning.
Baby steps, baby steps.
Learning. You guys are there. You guys are getting there. No, for real. I think yeah, I think it's really cool. I think like think of like even just last week or like when we first started Rails of like when you just did a Rails new whatever versus now you guys are doing controllers, models, validations, seeds, migrations, what's it called? Serializer, all like that's 6 different kind of concepts just within this one API, which I think is really cool. There's a lot going on.
Yeah, like seriously, this stuff right here, this stuff freaked me out doing this, all of this stuff. I was like, I don't know how to do that. I think Leon, like when he walked me through doing all this stuff and getting commit or something, I think it showed like 1,000 commits on my first time where like I was like, oh man, I'm trying to figure this out. I don't know what's going on. But yeah.
Feel better
But
now?
yeah, yeah, a lot more.
Good, good.
Shoot,
Just takes
I'll
time.
stop. Yeah, I'll stop sharing, and then Matt, you're good to go, man. Yeah.
Which one am I doing again?
So you're on the serializer gem. So you're gonna jam the. So we did everything up to the serializer. So the third dot at the bottom. Or from the bottom, sorry. Yeah.
Okay. Gen activate model. This one, it will be in the.
I think this one I think we had to put something in on the gem file or something like
Oh
that.
yeah.
Yeah, on the way bottom.
Oh,
That's pretty
Oh, yeah.
trip. Like the code that we were just working on my screen now. It pops up on yours. Like I think that's pretty trip, man.
The pool, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So Matt, I just wanted to say you can use single or double quotes. It doesn't matter. And actually,
Oh.
technically, and this is for everybody, in the real world, you would like there are some people that are kind of picky with this. And so like if your gem file is already using double quotes, for example, then that's where some people might want you to use double quotes. Like to be consistent. I'm not saying to do it. I'm not picky about it necessarily, but I have been on teams where like they want they want uniformity kind of thing. They want everything to be the same.
Yeah.
I don't blame them for that. It's just, I just wanted to note that. So you can use single or double quotes, completely up to you. But yeah, so just keep that in mind.
Okay. And then we generate. So it'll be will it be Rails generate?
And jam it in the terminal.
Serializer. Would it be authors or the articles? It'll be
You'll do both or like you guys are gonna do both collectively. So it's up to you on which one you want to do first.
Oh,
Oh,
so
okay.
like the author first.
Will it be? Does it matter if it's singular or plural or?
We'll do singular. This one, a serializer is singular because you're referencing
Okay.
the model.
And then it'll be customized. Oh, I forgot to do this.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
And then it would be
I think you got to do the seeds too. Is that right or no? Seed, yeah, I think so. So then now you got all the stuff now.
Hmm.
I think that's why we did on our author, the on our author we did the two attributes so you can take one out, you know.
Oh,
Yeah,
do
so
you want me to
yeah,
take it?
it didn't matter. Like we just made another one just so that we could take it out. So I don't know.
Yeah, we could play around with it, like later, I guess. Just to have the options, right?
Yeah.
So do you want me to just leave it or?
Oh no. So like when we do the serializer, we just say, just show the name or something like that.
Oh, okay.
That way, like I didn't know if like we had to take something else out or whatnot.
And then this one would be the where'd it go?
You're on author, right? So for author, we
Yes,
had
would be the name and age.
Yeah.
yeah.
Does it still need the ID even though there isn't one?
I don't think so. I think you
Yeah, I
should take
think
it out. Yeah.
delete the ID. It might break because we don't have an ID, right? We don't have ID. Yeah, just name and age.
So you guys do every table has an ID. So
Hmm.
if you remember, like when you do like article.all or article.first, like every table or author.first
Oh, okay, yeah.
does have an ID. So that's why when you create this file, by default, it will always have an ID there. You don't have to include the ID if you don't want to. However, it will always be there because it knows that's like something that every single thing has. So that's obviously it could use that because it's like, yeah, every table or every model is going to include that.
Oh, that's right. Even though it's not in the parameters, right? But it's because of the association, it has the ID.
Yeah, so every table has an ID, yeah. Because it needs to keep track of like what's the ID in the database, Like how many of those do you have or whatever.
Hmm.
10, 4.
Wait, is this it for the serializer, or am I missing?
I'd say yeah, try it out. It doesn't need so I'd say it doesn't need to be anything complicated, and even especially,
Hmm.
and this is for everybody, especially like when you're just starting out with creating the serializer, like I'd say just try it out. Like see, does it work? Because you know what I mean? Like, and then from there, like if there's other custom logic that you do want to add, like how we did that other stuff for the products one, then okay, then go ahead and add it on. But just test with the simple things first, get it working, and then you can iterate on it to make it more complex or do whatever it is you want.
Mm.
Yeah.
Hmm. Okay. Um. So it would be author create name author for would be like, say 40. And then would be article, create, title, be article for, and then content. The ID author. Is that 3?
Mhm.
And then so, oh, I'm supposed to do it on the server.
Jam the server. Because on the server or HTTP, that's when we can show or hide, right?
It'll,
Yes, yes.
yeah.
Correct. In Rails console, you won't see it.
Mm.
Oh, see, it does show it. Yeah. Has many products, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It has many articles.
Or I'm sorry. Yeah, yeah. It has many articles. There we go.
Yeah. And so this is the cool thing, you know. So with these serializers, how you're able to customize it, and with the associations kind of working together, is it's like, okay, cool. So we can see the author and all of their articles in the response. So it's not like we have to make separate requests now to get all of the articles and the authors together. You can literally make one request and use literally all the information that you could possibly want from there, which is pretty cool.
Hmm. That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Okay. And then am I also doing the next part, or is this Ron?
The yeah, jam the serializer for the
article.
Yeah, damn it. Then bring us home.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
No need 30 minutes on this. See.
You guys are so quick.
And then it'll be.
Sorry, guys. I'm just gonna go use the restroom real quick.
I was trying to make serializer article. Then it would be content. ID belongs to author
Nice.
or authors.
I think it's one. I think it's one. That weird single to plural or something like that.
Rows. And it'll be the same thing, right?
Yeah,
Or-
we just made it simple, you know, like yeah.
author.create name author slash page. Let's go. What is that?
So
And then article create give title article and content Tenths. Cool. Other, that's gonna be 4. Boom.
Nice.
Solid.
Dude.
Okay, push so that way the others have this.
Hmm?
Go ahead and push it up so that way the others can have it as well.
Oh yeah.
And then Junior and Ron can pull it down to make sure it works on their side.
Edit. Sir. Git status. Okay, there you go.
Nice.
Solid. Okay. All right. So, what's that? 6:42. Why don't we, why don't we take a quick break? We'll take a quick 10-minute break now. And then we're gonna start into a new concept called callbacks. And that'll be another Rails concept that we're gonna go through. Yeah, sorry, Ron, I know you just got back. Let's go and take a 10-minute break. We'll come back in 10, and then we'll start the new concept. All right.
Schultz.
Dude.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Yay. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen. Share. Actually, let me undo all of this. It's messing with this. So once again, so if you want to reset your database, and this is going to be drop, create, and seed, I don't think it's going to migrate again because technically it's like, okay, you're already using the correct, your database is already set up. Like you don't need to recreate it. You can run Rails DB reset and that'll drop. So that dropped to my database, it created it again, and then it also ran my seeds. So we can see it did all of that with this one command. So I like using that. Another option you could do if you wanted to explicitly migrate, you could go like Rails DB :drop. Actually, here, let me close this. So I could go DB :drop, DB :create, DB :migrate, DB :seed. And so now I know for sure that I'm migrating the code as well, like if I needed to. And so now this does the same thing, but it also migrates as well. Because I don't remember if seeds migrates. I mean, I don't know if reset, I don't remember if DB reset migrates the code. I know for sure it drops, creates, and seeds because we could explicitly see it, but I don't remember if it migrates. But yeah, so just two different options you can. I wanted to reset my database because I was messing around with some stuff, and so that's why I did it. Okay. Um, all right. So the next concept we're going to go through, and I'm actually going to use a different. Do I want to? Yeah, I'm going to use a different API. Let me go ahead and grab a different one of my APIs. Let's do this. I think I want to go to week 6. Let's use one of these APIs. Actually, no, I'm cool with using this one. So you guys are going to use, for your exercises, you guys are going to use the blog API. So each one of you is going to have your own version of it. So now, if you didn't already, feel free to pull down the most recent code. Do a git pull, because each one of you is going to use that same thing, and you guys are no longer going to push it up. I don't think that's the best practice necessarily, but for this one, to make sure everyone's on the same page, that's kind of what I want us to do for now. I mean, I suppose if you wanted to, you could fork it. If you really wanted to push your code up, you could fork whomever's repository it is. I think it's Junior, so technically Ron and Matt could fork it if you really wanted to, but yeah, whatever, that's a different story. Okay, so anyway, so the next thing that I wanted to go through is something called callbacks. And so, here, I'm just gonna do callbacks. So a callback, the way we can think of a callback is it's like Rails provides us a way to run specific code at specific points in the life cycle of creating an object, for example, or in the life cycle of a request. And so I guess what I mean by that is let's go to my products controller, for example. And let's say before I create a product, I want to, or after, let's say after, actually, this is a good example. Let's say after I create a product, I want it to send an email confirmation saying that this product was created. To whom it's being sent to and how we're going to send an email, that's another story. Because right now we don't have users. Technically, I would create another table called users, and it's like we would have like user ID, so that way we can track who's creating it and send it the email to the proper person, etc. But to keep it simple, all I want us to think about is like, let's say after we create a product, I want to send an email to that person after it's been created. By all means, we could just do like something here, like whatever, like send email, whatever the code is to send the email. But there's benefits to using these things called callbacks instead of using just explicitly writing the code there. And we'll kind of go through some of those benefits. Okay. The other thing I quickly wanted to mention on this note is that we're going to go through kind of two different types of callbacks. And so let me pull up, where's that random note thing? So the two different types of callbacks we're going to go through are going to be controller callbacks and model callbacks. And so let's see. So for model callbacks, I guess in this we'll go through kind of when we would use one of them, one or the other. To be honest, I'm more familiar and like in my actual practice, I've used controller callbacks way more than model ones. I've only actually learned of model callbacks for this class, like because it's like something that I found that I was like, okay, might as well show you guys kind of thing. But more often, I use these kind of callbacks. And so when to use both, or like what are both and stuff like that. So a controller callback, we can think of it's like we want to run a specific function before or after a request was created. So, no, maybe not created, was, let's say an action is going to take place. Yeah, I think that's a better thing. So for example, going back to the this products controller. So let's say I wanted to do something before any one of these methods happens. So then that's where I would do something like before action. So before any action, do something, run some function, whatever function it is that I want them to do. I would do run some function. So then in this scenario, before we even do an index or before we even do a create, it's going to, before that action is called, it's going to run some function. Or another thing we can do is after action. So after either of these actions happens, run some other function, whatever it is. And so that's kind of the idea with it, is that for specifically for controller callbacks, it's like in the life cycle of a request. By life cycle of a request, someone makes a request, we're looking at the URL, the endpoint. From there, it's gonna go to our server. The server is gonna go to the routes. The routes is gonna come to the controller, and it's gonna do something, and then it's gonna send back some data or whatever it is, render some data. So that's the life cycle of a request, right? And so basically, within that life cycle of a request, before or after a specific action has occurred, or we can just say all actions. So I'm not being specific to which action. I'm just saying, hey, before any action, do some function, or after an action, do some other function. And a real life example of where this might be used is, let's say after somebody creates something, we want to like maybe do a log of like, okay, who did this or who did whatever. And so that's like a real world example of where we could use that. Or a real life example for the before action. Actually, let me show you it working first. And then from there, I can show you like kind of like a real world example. So here's like a really simple example. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a private function. Private. We briefly went through private before, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. It's basically this function's only going to be available within this controller. And no one could make a call to this. So like if I did like def something, and just as a quick review, so like now, because this method is under the private, I guess, name, I guess here, that it's like it's a private function basically, our routes theoretically couldn't call it. Only methods inside this file could call it. Like if I wanted to, I could do like something. I could call something now because I'm within this function, but any other file, including our routes, could not call this function. And so that's the idea of putting it here under the private, as just a quick reminder. So I'm just going to do def send email. And then all this is going to do is it's going to mimic sending an email. I'm going to say mimicking sending an email confirmation. And then even to make it a little bit, because this is going to be in the server logs, I just want it to be like that. Theoretically, we would be writing some code that's calling some service to send an email. Like that's what we'd be theoretically kind of be doing here. But just for this simple example, I'm just obviously printing it out to the server. And then on the top, so now I'm going to use the before action and I'm going to call send email. Oops, send email. And so now I'm going to turn my server on. Let's go ahead and make an HTTP request. This. And so let's go ahead and do get/users. If I click send, oh, shoot, not users. I forgot I was messing with users earlier. Products. Okay, cool. So I click send. We see it gave us all the data. However, right here, we can see mimicking sending an email confirmation. And that happened before all of the users were loaded. If I wanted this to be done after all of the users were loaded or after we created something, I could change this to be after action. And so now if I do that same thing again, let me clear my server, click send, solid. So now we can see all of this stuff happen first, and then we send that email. And so that's the idea of like this idea of before or after action. Depending on when it is that you want it to be sent, or when you want this thing to occur, will determine if you're going to use before or after action. And so I just wanted to show you guys kind of it working in a sense. Yes, Junior.
Sorry, Leon. I wanted to ask, does that message also show up on the HTTP pie?
No.
Or is it terminal?
The reason it doesn't is because all we're doing is so this puts anything we're using puts for, it's just going to go to the server. So that's technically running on the server. Yeah. So
Okay.
we will not see that anywhere here in HTTP. So like here's like the rest of the response. Sorry, the rest of the response. Oh shoot, where'd it go? Or here, the rest of the response right here. There's no like mimicking sending email. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So let's do like a more, I feel like let's do like a more, what's it called? Actually, let's do this. I think it's only index. Is that the, let me look at my notes. Like if I only wanted it to run specifically, yeah, it's like this. Okay. It's an array. Only, and theoretically for me, it's only create. So I only want to run send email after the create action. If we're doing an index, it doesn't make sense to send an email. So why would we do it? We only want to do it if we're doing the create. And so let's go ahead and try. We click send for the index. There's no logs. We see that. And so now let's try to change this to a post. And I need all of these fields. So let's go title, price, description, size, and supplier ID. I'm just going to say one test title and test description 12 supplier ID 1. Okay, cool. So now when I click send, there we go. So now we can see we created a product. And then at the same time, we can see there's our mimicking sending an email. But it's only happening for the create action because we told it, hey, after this specific action is done, only this one, run that function. Yeah. And so the other big idea with callbacks is, well, there's many different ideas, but another big concept with them is making your code be dry. So if you guys remember, dry stands for do not repeat yourself, right? And so if we don't have to rewrite this logic 10 times, we want to use it only the one time. So theoretically, we have like a create, we have an update, maybe we have a destroy, and all of those are sending some sort of email. So instead of writing this send email for every single action that we want to, we create it one time, and then we would do like create, update, and destroy. And so now that send email function would be ran for all three of those actions without us having to write more code again. So that's another idea with this. And so kind of building upon that, another, to me, a better example that is a little bit more, makes a little bit more sense in this specific scenario is this. So let's say I'm going to create the other three CRUD actions. So I'm going to create show, update, and destroy. So def show. This is going to be, and so I'm also, the other thing that I'm going to be using is I'm going to be using the @ sign. So I'm going to say @product equals product.find params :id. And I'll explain why I'm using to make this an instance variable instead of a regular variable. And I'll explain it in a second. Render JSON @product. And then let me go ahead and do the update and the destroy. Def update. And I'm going to go @product equals product.find. And this is going to be params :id @product.update. And then whatever, we need a title. So pretty much it's just going to be this whole thing. Or @product.title. Let's see if I can do this. Oh, I need to delete that. Or I need them all to be the same. Okay, let's do it one more time. Oh, wait, why am I inside the supplier ID though? Okay, I need to fix that last one. Oh, it's because the other ones had a comma. This one didn't. Okay, there you go. That looks all right to me. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. It's supposed to be @product dot whatever. Okay, cool. That looks right now. Render JSON @product. And then the final one is def destroy. And so we still need the same logic right here. That render JSON message product deleted. Okay, cool. So this is just our regular show, update, and destroy. I did a bunch of things and I didn't test it yet, so I actually want to test it before we actually use a callback. So let me go ahead and finish writing these. Get /products/:id points to the products #show. Put /products/:id points to the products #update. And then finally, delete goes to the destroy. Solid. Okay, so let's go ahead and test it out. Let me go back to my controller. So let's do the show, for example. So it'd be a get /product/1. Solid, we see that works. What if I wanted to update this one? Maybe I wanted to update the size to be 12. Change that. So this is going to be a put /product/1. I want to update the size to be 12. Solid, we see it's 12. And now I want to delete it just to test the delete. Let's try deleting this one. Product deleted, perfect. So we can see all of this is working properly. So now I guess what I want to show here is that we're doing this line 3 times. We're having to find the product, right? And so what we can do to make our code dry, do not repeat yourself, because right now we're repeating ourselves 3 times. What we can do is we can go create another private method, and we can go like def, and we're going to call it set product. We can call it whatever we want. But a lot of times for this kind of method, you would call it like set product, set user. Basically, you're going to find the product, so that way we can set up what the product is. And so it would literally be this exact same syntax. Oh. So @product equals product.find params ID. Perfect. And so now I can go ahead and I can delete all of these other ones. So I'm literally just going to go Command D. I'm not going to grab that last one, and I'm just going to delete that. Solid. So now my update no longer has that. My destroy no longer has that. My show no longer has that. And so what we have to do up here is we're going to go before action, and we're going to run set product. Set product. However, we're only going to run that for the show, update, and destroy, because those are the only functions that need to have that product. The other thing I want to point out is that we're using the instance variable at product. If we remember, if we don't use an instance variable, this variable products is only available within this function. If I use an instance variable, this variable is now available everywhere within this file, which is exactly why we want to use at product versus just regular product, because technically we're setting the product down here. We're doing at product equals product.find. And so that would set it up for the destroy. That would set it up for the update right here, the at product, and it would set it up for the show. So now we're using technically this line right here and this instead of writing that same logic for every single one of those functions. And so let's just test it out. Let's make sure it works. If I do a get and let's check out the second one. Solid, there's my second product. Let's go ahead and try update to make sure it works. I'm going to change the size to 15. Click send. Solid, the update works. And let's just go ahead and try the delete or the destroy. Send, that worked as well. Solid. So we can see all of this works as we were expecting. And we were able to make our code a little bit more dry, per se, which is pretty cool. Questions, comments about this? Yes, Junior.
So would there be any downside to not limiting the so like say before action set product, if we were to just delete everything after that, so it wouldn't have an only limitation. Would there be any downside to just leaving it like that you have on the screen? Because I'm thinking like if it goes on the index, I guess what's going on in my head is that when you run the before action, now you have a value for set product, right? But if you're going through the def method, it has a value for set product, but it's not even going to use it. So it would still run correctly there. So like
Yeah,
I'm just like I mean, like I probably like one of my errors would probably be like maybe I didn't include everything that needs at set product. So like would there be a downside to limiting it, or is it
off the top of my head, I don't see a downside per se to doing this. Like, unless the only downside to me is what if, for whatever reason, well, okay, so the other thing I'm going to preface is that now that I'm using instance variables, I want to use it everywhere. So I'm going to go at products, and then over here for the create, I'm going to do at product for all these basically. So now everything here is using instance variables. And so with that being said, the one downside to me that I could see potentially happening is what if you, because sometimes I'm not thinking, and what if I use product here? And so technically, before the action, I think it'll still be fine. But in reality, like if this was a really, let's say we're loading a lot of data, we could be wasting resources. So if you'd imagine
okay?
now we're only grabbing 5 products, Imagine when you're loading thousands or hundreds of thousands, and stuff like that, where that is a really resource intensive thing. So you're going to run set product and you're going to find all of the whatever that specific product or whatever it is. And then from there, then you're going to do this again. So it's kind of redundant in a sense. Or so that's where kind of to be careful. The other thing to me is readability. I think that it would be better it's better to me to limit things than to give too much,
Mm.
if that makes sense. So yeah, I'd rather it be okay, like, oh, we need to also give it there. Okay, add only whatever. Add that extra action basically that you want to provide that for. Rather than giving it everywhere, and then there's methods that don't need it. To me, I like thinking it that way.
It's like optimizing, right? And
Yeah.
then your thing is not slow or people don't get frustrated with your product or something.
Yeah,
Okay.
that is a way to think about it. In reality, especially for what we're doing right now, I don't think like if you were to do this or delete it and only did this, like I don't think there's necessarily an issue. I think it's just to me, this would be best practice for the
Yes.
long run. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, great question. Does this make sense? Matt, Ron, you guys have questions? Okay, cool. Okay. So I want to give you guys an exercise to basically do something similar. Okay. Here, I have my exercise set up already. Slack exercises. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, we'll start with author. Time is it 7:19? Yeah. Do the same thing for articles. Yeah, okay. Cool. So, and here, I'll share with you guys what it looks like for reference. Example, we'll be using controller callback specifically. Okay. Yeah, okay, cool. So you guys, this exercise, I want you to generate all 5 CRUD actions in the author model. Basically, whatever actions you guys don't already have, which you guys should only have index and create, just like what I have. So theoretically, you guys are doing the show, update, destroy. After that, I want you to update the show, update, and destroy actions to use a, let's go private, to use a private. Yeah, I'm going to use private. I'm going to say private. To use a private before action callback to set the author in the controller. So basically, you're going to do something similar here, where I have my before action for set product only for show, update, and destroy. And that's for obviously for the show, for the update, for the destroy. And I created a private method called set products. So theoretically, for you guys, set product or set products. Theoretically, for you guys, you do set author, right? Or set article or something like that. Test it in HTTP, see in your server, whatever. And then from there, I want you to create another custom callback. For example, sending an email or really anything that you want. It doesn't have to be pertaining to what you're doing. It's just the idea of practicing it. And so I also share that you can use before action, which runs before, after action, which runs after. And I actually haven't used around action, to be honest. That's something that I found while I was researching this stuff. But yeah, I'd say try out around action to see what it does. Apparently, it runs before and after the action. So to me, it's like I cannot see a situation where you would use it. To me, like why would you want it something to run before and after? In my head, I cannot think of one. So I'd say try it out, see what's going on with it, and yeah, show you guys the examples of it. Yeah, so just try it out. All right, you guys are good to share your screen and try it out. I forgot to start the recording, but it's okay. All right. So to go through quickly with model callbacks, I'm going to show you guys a quick example. Okay. So let's actually do this first. So the first thing we need to understand with model callbacks, actually, to sum up controller callbacks, these run a specific function before or after an action slash method is going to take place. Basically, it's like when handling a web request, before or after that specific action that request does, it's going to do some function. So that's controller callbacks, right? And so now with model callbacks, these are going to run when a database record changes. And that could be create, update, save, or destroy, right? And so technically, these are all functions that one way or another update the database in somehow. I'm not talking about the CRUD actions here. I'm talking about like when we do like user equals user dot create or user dot update or user dot save or user dot destroy or something like that. That's what I'm referencing, like the Rails methods for create, update, save, and destroy. One way or another, these functions update the database in somehow, right? So that's when we would use a model callback. When we want to run like some record change, when we're updating, saving, or destroying. And so I don't want us to like get confused. If there's one thing you guys remember, it's the controller callbacks. Okay. But anyway, back to the model callbacks. I want to show you guys an example. So let's do this. What's my schema look like? Products, suppliers. Yeah, we can do this example. Actually, I'm going to generate a migration. I'm going to create a users table. So I'm going to go Rails generate migration or Rails generate model user, and I'm going to have a name. Maybe I'll have an age, or let's do name, email, and username. Right? So it's just going to have a name, email, username. Nothing crazy. Let me verify my migration file. Looks good. Rails DB migrate. And then let me check out my schema. My schema looks solid. I have the users right there. Okay. So I didn't do anything special here. But now, so I'm going to go to my user model. Actually, let me create a controller first. Rails generate controller users. And let's just set this up. I'm just going to do an index and create. I'm going to go def index and I'll use an instance. I don't need to. Users equal user.all. And then render JSON users. And then I'll do def create and user equals user.create. And then from there, it's going to be like, it needs a name, params name. I need an email, params email. And then finally, I need a username, params username. Render JSON user. And then let me create the route real quick. Get slash users points to the users hashtag index. And then it's going to be post slash users points to the users create. Let's just test it out real quick. Rails server, HTTP. I'm going to do a get request to slash users. Technically, I should have none. Slash users. Solid. I have none. Let me go and create the first one. Post. I need a name. Test name. I need an email. Test@test.com. And I need a username. Cool username. I don't know, whatever. So in create one, solid, we created it. If I do a get request, solid, okay. So basically, I didn't do anything special there. That's all stuff that we know. That's just a regular user's index and create. Okay, so now here's where I'm going to set up the callback now. So let's say I don't want the username. I'm just kind of setting up the scenario, right? So let's say I didn't want the username to be something that the user generated. I want the app to be the one that generates some sort of random email or random username. So one thing I could do, actually, to preface this, I want to say there's a bunch of different ways we could do this. We could do like right off the top of my head, I think in a normal situation, I would probably go like username equals, and then I just put like whatever, some random thing, or like I'd use faker here theoretically, like faker colon whatever, whatever, whatever. I just want to show you guys another possibility that you guys could use. I'm not saying you have to do it this way, and to be honest, I probably wouldn't do it this way because this is not what I'm used to. But I want to show you guys that you guys can do this. And so with models, we have these type of where's my stuff right here? We have these callbacks that we can use. So we have before validation, after validation, before save, before create, before update, after create, after update, after save, before destroy, after destroy. There's a bunch of different options, I guess, for callbacks for models. Because as we mentioned, if we go back to our notes here, where's that notes thing that I created? For model callbacks, it runs when a database record changes. Basically, when we update our database, right? And so with that being said, there's a whole lot of different times when we update our database. We can check it before a validation runs. So this fires in files before Rails runs the model's validations. So if you have like a validates name or whatever, for whatever reason, this validation is going to run, or I mean, this callback would run before that, after the validation runs, before something saves. So fires right before the record is saved to the database, whether it's a create or update. Before create, after update. So before something creates specifically, or after create, after update, after save, after destroy, before whatever. Basically, there's a whole lot of different options here we have with model callbacks. And to me, it's kind of like, I don't want to say overcomplicating it, but it's like there's just so much different configuration here that you can do. It's to me, it's kind of overwhelming. It's like, why would I use half of these? To me, I do have some like simple use cases here for why you would use it, but for like most everyday scenarios, you're probably not going to use almost any of these, to be honest. I think like maybe before save, after save. To me, it's like those are the most common ones that I would think of using. Because these I'm thinking of in terms of like before action, after action. I'm used to using these. I'm sure there is a reason why we have so many different ones, but like I don't want to overcomplicate it, to be honest. I just like the simple controller. It's either before or after. But I just want to show you guys that this is another possibility, should you guys want to use this. Okay, so with that being said, as I mentioned, this is a model callback. This isn't going to be a controller callback. Controller callbacks are in the controller. Model callbacks are going to be in the model. And so we would use theoretically, and here actually I have an example that I was messing with earlier. So for example, let's go ahead and I'm going to go before create, I'm going to run some function. I'm going to go like generate random username. And then from there, I'm going to go like, I'm going to create a private function. So I could use private also in the model. And I'm going to go def generate random username. Basically, I'm going to create the function. And I'm going to say self.username equals. And then actually, I need to install Faker, but I'm going to go like faker internet.username. Basically, give me a fake username. And so now the way this will work after actually I did install Faker already, I think. Yeah, okay, I already have Faker, perfect. And so back to here to the user model, the way this should work is before we actually create this user, it's going to run this function. This function is going to reference whatever object it is that we're creating, that's why we're going to use self. So we're creating a user. So we're using self.username, basically the username of whatever it is, the object that we're creating, which is a user. And we're going to set that equal to a random faker username. And so going back to this users controller, no longer are we setting username, params, username, because in my head, I'm like, for this example, I want to create a random one using faker, using this model callback. So the way this should work is before we create this user, it's going to go back to the model and it's going to run generate random username, which is going to set username for that user to equal that faker username. Cool. Okay. So let's go ahead and try this out, see if it works. I'm going to restart my server and let's go ahead and generate a user. So I can do a GET request. That still works as normal. However, here's where if I do a post, I'm going to uncomment username. I'm going to say again, just to make it different, click send. So we can see there's some random username, Justin Russell. That Justin Russell is coming from here. So the power of using this is that we can reference, we can kind of like, I have a hard time coming up with a good use case scenario for this because this isn't the way that I would normally do it, to be honest. The normal way that I would do it, I would probably do something like this. Username, that. This is the way that I would think of doing this. To me, it's like we're overcomplicating this. So I have a hard time finding a good use case for this. However, what we're doing basically is we're saying, hey, before we create, not this create, this is the model create. I mean, this is the controller create action. Before this create, before we actually create the user, go to the model, generate a username for that specific user that we're creating and set it to that. That's what we're doing here. All right, I don't want to overcomplicate this for anybody. Because even for me, it's like, why would I do that? To be honest, in my head, I'm still asking myself, why would I do that versus what I just showed you guys? And I don't have a good answer, to be honest. That's where it's like, I don't really want you guys to get confused. And if there's one thing you guys get down, it's that regular controller callbacks. I want you guys to understand this because more often than not, you're going to see this before action. Set product, set article, set whatever it is. You'll see this very commonly. These model callbacks, I don't think I've ever seen any code that I've worked on for like any place that I've worked at use this. But this is something that you can do. And given that we're talking about callbacks, which is why that I wanted to show you guys. Does that make sense? Yes, Junior.
I just want to see if I'm tracking this. So, when you do the create function in the model, we can already, or in the other one, what was the other one in the
Controller?
yes, in the control. I'm sorry. So when you could actually do the creation of the username in the controller,
Correct.
which links up to the table. The one that you're describing says before the controller creates the user, go to the model controller and create it. Is that kind of like that sequence?
Yeah, in a sense. So technically, we're not referencing this, though. I want to make that clear that we're not using this def create and this dot create are two different create actions, right? So this is just the CRUD create. Like that's why we call it create because that's just the convention. This create is the Rails method create that allows us to create some object. And so technically, what we're saying is, hey, before we actually create this user, because we know that we're referencing a user because that. So before we create this user, go back to the model and generate a random username.
Username. Yeah,
So
that's
it's a little bit weird, you know, and so we can think of it like the validations, like anything that we put in this file is going to run whenever we're referencing creating a user or whenever we're referencing the user. So like even like our validations that we've been adding, like we add those in the model. The reason we add those in the model is because whenever we're creating that specific model, that object, those validations need to be passed before creating it. So like if I had like validates name, presence, true, this technically is kind of like To me, this is kind of like a callback in a sense, and in the sense that this is going to run before a user is created because it needs to make sure this validation is true.
Yeah,
In
yeah,
that same sense, it's running this, and it's just making sure we generate a random username. I don't know. It's really
yeah.
weird. Model callbacks are weird.
Yeah, just make it in the controller, right? Just
Yeah, I don't see why not. And I mean, I guess we can go through this use case. So like before validation, these two are especially weird for me. Why would you want to run something before a validation or after a validation specifically? Like to me, it's like, why would, I don't understand. I don't know.
Hmm.
But the use cases that I found online when researching this is it's like, okay, so for before validation, you can use it when standardizing or cleaning data so that validations pass easier. So in my head, what this is saying is we want to clean the data before it gets to the validation. So like if you'd imagine like we have some complex validation, like I'm just gonna make something up, like validation to make sure email contains at Code School of Guam. We could write a validation for that. It would be a little bit complex, but we could. So theoretically, in my head, what this is saying is, hey, before we even get to this validation, let's clean it up and make sure that we add it or something like that. Like theoretically, we're gonna do some logic here, like def fix emails end, and then from there it's like, I'm sorry, like add at codeschoolofguam.com if it's not there already. In my head, that's what this is saying. Cleaning, but basically standardizing or cleaning so that validations pass easier. It's like we want to make sure that the validation doesn't fail. So then we're going to run some function, some callback to call a function that's going to clean it up before it gets to the validation. Maybe that's what I think it's saying. But again, I think these ones are weird. I don't, that's why like I'm not really, I wanted to start with the controller one and focus on that. And I gave you guys the most time for it because to me, these are the most applicable to the real world. Like this is what you guys will actually use. Um, yeah. So if there's anything you guys get from today, it's probably this one specifically, understanding how this works. And then how like it works down here, the private function for set product, etc. Because again, like in the real world, I see this pretty often. Like this is something that's often. The whole idea here is that we don't have to do at product equals product dot find params an ID. We don't have to do this 3 times. We can do it 1 time. That's the whole idea with this. And so things like this are important to understand. Everything else here, I could kind of care less, to be honest, especially the model ones. I think I want you guys to understand that it's possible to do this. But like whether or not you're actually going to use it in the real world, I couldn't speak to it. Yeah. Sorry. A little bit of a rant on that, but I just want to make sure you guys understand my experience dealing with these kind of callbacks in the real world. I've never dealt with a model callback. I've dealt with a bunch of controller callbacks. Yeah. Questions, comments? Okay. Cool, cool, cool. Okay, so I mean, I don't know. I don't even really want you guys to mess with the model callbacks because I don't want you guys to confuse yourself. There's already a lot with the controller ones. So I think we're kind of pretty good where we're at. Tomorrow, I want to start with actually yeah, I want to start with associate with the many to many associations. You guys feel pretty confident with the one to many, right? You guys feel pretty okay with that? So and so. Yeah, of course, we'll need more practice, but at least we have a decent grasp of it. So the next one that we're going to deal with is how can we have it so, for example, a product can belong to a supplier, but then how could we also have it vice versa? Or like let's say a supplier has many products, but what if also a product belongs to, or sorry, I don't, gosh, even the wording is a little bit weird for me. Okay, so let's say
customers or products are bought by multiple customers or
a customer has many I'm trying to think of the example, like the real world example that I did relatively recently actually is categories and products. So the way it would work is that the normal, like the simple solution is a category has many products, and then a product belongs to a category, right? That's to me the simplest way. And this is originally what I set up. Actually, so if you guys remember that Hofaloa application I always reference, this is the way that I had their stuff set up. They had products and they have categories because they want to be able to categorize their products, obviously. However, they were like, hey, some of our products, we want it to be able to be associated with with multiple categories, right? So in this scenario, it's no longer going to be a category has many products, a product belongs to one specific category. So no longer is a product going to belong to one specific category. They want it to be a product has many categories, technically. And so now no longer is it a one to many. We need to figure out how can we associate one product with many different categories, and one category can also have many different products. So that's what we need to figure out. So there's going to be the solution is going to do something like we need basically an in-between thing. We're going to have something called a join table. So this join table is going to connect the categories and products. And so that's technically what we're going to do. And so this join table is going to have both foreign keys. So if we remember, whichever one is that belongs to technically has the foreign key, this join table is going to belong to both of these, and it's going to be the one that has the foreign key. So that's the way we're going to kind of get around this. And so, yeah, I like this example because this is literally what I built actually in like the last few months or so. I had to figure out how to do this properly for like a production date, like data, kind of thing. But yeah, so that's what we're gonna do tomorrow is we're gonna figure out how to do many to many. And we're gonna start, I want to start with the spreadsheet again. So we're gonna open up the spreadsheet. We'll start with that to make sure we understand it properly. And we can walk through because to me, it's like the better we set up the spreadsheet with like our schema there, the easier it's gonna be to set up our schema here, you know. The more setup we do, the easier it'll be kind of build it out kind of thing. Yeah, so that's what we'll do tomorrow. And then Friday again in person. I didn't go to the office, but whatever. We'll do that Friday, and we're gonna do a group project Friday. So Friday, I briefly talked to a couple of you guys about it. I want to do branching off. Like I want to do proper group work in the sense that everyone's gonna have their own branch and stuff like that, and we're gonna kind of put together many to many, probably do some validations, do the seeds, migrations, of course. Maybe some simple callbacks as well. Maybe some kind of something like maybe just the before of this one, like the set product or something like that. Serializer, kind of just I want to put everything that we've been doing together in one large and really cool project that you guys can all be working on, like probably in groups of two, probably. But yeah, so that is the plan for the rest of the week. So tomorrow, many to many. Friday, we'll do some group work with proper like group collaboration. Cool. Questions, comments? Solid. Okay. And then the only other thing I'm quickly just going to do a reminder of is just if you guys can share, when you guys have a chance, share an image of yourself that you'd like to be referenced for the AI generated avatar, and then 3 things you'd like to use to describe yourself. So again, for example, for mine, it's like, here's myself, and then here's the MacBook, blue light glasses, and like a girl dad hat or whatever. It doesn't need to be, I don't know, nothing crazy. Just do whatever it is that you want, really. So just, I want you guys to share these 2 things when you guys have a chance. Because the faster you guys do it, the faster we can generate it, etc., whatever. Yeah. So that's the last, just a quick reminder. All right, cool. I do not have anything else. I'll hang out for a little bit if anyone wants to go through anything. But other than that, you guys have a great night. Thank you guys for being here, and I will see you guys tomorrow.
You guys.
Bye, everyone.
Shoo shoo. Good night, gents. Be safe. Good night.